Okay, so now we are talking about section 10, or sorry, test 10. Keep doing that. I don't know why. Test 10, section 3, and we're going to do the error IDs, which are questions 12 to 29, and this starts on page 956. All right, 12. At the heart of the program, enthusiastically endorsed by the city's business association, is plans for refurbishing neighborhoods and for making low-interest mortgages available to young families. So the issue here is with B. Why B? Well, we have is when what is the thing doing the ising? What is the thing doing the being? What is at the heart of the program? Well, it's plans, which are plural, so we have to have something like are. So this is an example of verb agreement, VA. So we need something like, at the heart of the program are plans. Plans are at the heart of the program, right? If you flipped it, you put the plans in front, it'd be plans, plans for refurbishing neighborhoods, blah, 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 are at the heart of the program, right? This is what is the noun that goes with the verb, even though it comes after. So the answer here is going to be B. 13. To keep books by The illustrated books by Dr. Seuss have managed keeping youngsters and adults alike entertained for several decades. So you might be able to hear it. The issue is with B. This is a VF, a verb form error. Instead of keeping, we need to keep, right? Have managed to keep youngsters and adults alike. So the answer there is B. 14. Introducing new ideas and replacing old ones is always a highly controversial matter, especially when there is already tension between an older and a younger generation. No problem here. The answer is E. 15. It was fortunate that the inexperienced veterinarian was able to examine the injured horse calm and with confidence. So the issue here is with D. This is an adverb error, right? This calm is modifying how she or he examined the injured horse. So this should be an adverb because it's modifying a verb, so it should be calmly. To examine the injured horse calmly and with confidence. So the answer there is D. 16. Although the details of the contract has not yet been announced, it is likely that union negotiators accepted the proposed training program for newly hired workers. So the issue here is with A, and this is a VA, verb agreement error, right? We have has as the verb, but what is the thing doing the hasing? What has not yet been announced yet? Well, it's the details, right? We have this little prepositional phrase of the contract here. And it sounds like, again, this is a standard verb agreement question where it looks like it sounds okay because this noun comes right before the has. So the contract has. But the problem is that this is not the noun. This is the noun that goes with the has. You could cross out this prepositional phrase and you'd still have an okay sentence. So it's the details, not has, the details have. So the answer here is going to be where am I? 16. Answer here is going to be A because that is a verb agreement error. 17. Just when those who were watching from the sidelines feared the worst, the athletes themselves are the most confident. So the answer here is with D, and we have a tense error here. Because if you look at the rest of the sentence, just when those who were watching, so were watching implies past tense, which means the entire sentence has got to agree with this past tense. So it should be the athletes themselves were the most confident. So the answer there is D. 18. Though the statistics on their experiment were neither precise or significant, the biochemists still published them. So the answer here is D, and this is just an idiom or an expression, I guess you can call it. Just a construction you have to memorize. And whenever you have neither something, you have to have nor, not or. So neither nor, either, or. So the answer here is D. 19. George Thornton Emmons was one of a handful of ethnographers who committed their life to studying the Tlingit culture of the Northwest Coast. All right, so the issue here is with C. This is a PA, pronoun agreement issue. We have there here. But what is the actual kind of thing that's going on in the sentence? Well, we have George Thornton Emmons was one. So he was one of a handful of ethnographers. So we have some of phrase, which we can get rid of, right? Because for our purposes, we don't need it. So we need something, let's get rid of that middle part and see what it sounds like. George Thornton Edmunds was one who committed his life, right? His life. He committed his life because he's a singular person. The handful of ethnographers, that's a prepositional phrase. That does not affect anything else in the sentence in terms of number or case or verb agreement, pronoun agreement. We need to talk about how he was one who committed his life. So that's got to all agree together. So the answer there is going to be C. 20. Before he sprained his back, Morgan spends much of his leisure time engaged in outdoor sports, particularly hiking and canoeing. So again, tense error. This is going to be answer choice A. It should not be spends, it should be spent. Before he sprained his back, Morgan spent. You can even do had spent maybe. But anyway, we need a present tense, or past tense there. The tense is wrong. 21. In a world that the rate of technological and social change accelerates frighteningly, change itself often seems to be the only constant. Okay, so A is the issue here, and the problem with it is an idiom or an expression or just something that goes together. You have to use where instead of that when you're talking about a place. So in this case, we have in a world where the rate of technological and social change accelerates, right? Not a world that, in a world where these things happen. So there's A. 22. Ms. Tanaka asked Juan and I whether we would consider joining our school's quiz ball team. So the issue is with A, and the reason is that we have a case error. So whenever you have one of these issues where, okay, is it Juan and me, Juan and I, cross out the, in this case, Juan and, cross that out, read the sentence, and see what it sounds like. So let's see. Ms. Tanaka asked I whether. No. It would be Ms. Tanaka asked me. So we know A is going to be the answer because it should be Juan and me. 23. Something of a phenomenon in the entertainment world. Political satirists are admired by conservatives and radicals alike. Actually, the answer here is E. You might think that A would be it because the something of sounds weird, but that's a perfect example of where something that sounds weird does not necessarily mean it's wrong. And I know something of does sound weird, but it's actually okay. It's an expression. It's just kind of a construction, a way to write something. So E is the answer. There's no error in that sentence. 24. In the past, the small nation had been committed to self-managed socialism, a system under which the workers, rather than the state, owns most enterprises. So the answer here is D, and the issue is that with D, we have a verb agreement error again. We have owns, right? Who is doing the owning? Who is owning the enterprises? Well, it's the workers. The workers, well, the workers don't owns. Workers owns? No, it's workers own. So the sentence should be under which the workers, rather than the state, own most enterprises. And again, right before the owns, we have state, comma. This state does not go with owns. This is just a kind of a side phrase that kind of in these commas here. We care about the workers, which is right here. The workers do the owning. So that's why there's a verb agreement error. 25. Listening at the first song its lead singer ever wrote, the band members did not foresee that this young man would be responsible for bringing them to the attention of the world. So the answer here is A. This is an idiom issue, and you probably heard it. It's hard. I probably stumbled over it because it's hard for me to say because it's just so weird. You don't listen at something, you listen to. So listening to the first song, blah, 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 blah. The answer there is A. 26. The office manager and her coworker, Ms. Andrews, received equal pay from the company until she got a raise for helping to increase productivity. Okay, the issue with this is an interesting one. So the issue is with C and the she. And the issue is this. It's ambiguous. So the question is, who is the person who got the raise? Is it the office manager or is it the coworker? Is the office manager the one that got the raise, or is it Ms. Andrews? We don't know. We can't tell. It's ambiguous. So that's why the answer here is going to be C. We'd have to specify either in the context of the paragraph that this sentence would belong to, or within the sentence itself. We'd have to specify who was the person who got the raise. Now, is it possible that they both got it, that we could use they until they? Pay from the company. No, not really. The context of the sentence is implying that there's going to be some sort of change where one of them is no longer to be equal to the other, because she'll get paid more. So it's going to be some sort of she singular. So, but again, the ambiguity still applies. 27. Attaining speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, cheetahs are perhaps the fastest of land animals. There's no error here, no problems. 28. Whether or not they were successful as a candidate, women such as Geraldine Ferraro and Pat Schroeder have opened the door to the election of a woman as president. The issue here is with A, and this is an example of noun agreement, right? We have whether or not they were successful. So we have they, so we're talking about plural subjects. And then we have they were successful as a candidate. Well, this candidate is singular. This is plural. This is singular. We need to have something like as candidates, and that will make everything agree. Because then we'll have whether or not they were successful as candidates, women such as blah, 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 blah. So all the plural matches throughout the sentence. Last one, 29. The often conflicting reports of different polling organizations make it difficult to predict which of the candidates is more likely to win the election next year. This is actually E, no error. This is 29. This is a hard one, and it's hard because I think there are a few here that you could be tempted to pick. A, the often conflicting. That sounds a little bit weird, but there's no issues with it. B, make it difficult to. I mean, that one's pretty clearly okay. Maybe you might think, oh, okay, make should go with reports. Well, no, the reports don't make it. The conflicting reports of different polling stations make it difficult. Yeah, because you have. Yeah, make is fine because they would be make is plural and that goes with reports and that goes okay. So never mind, ignore what I just said. C. Predict which of the two candidates is. So you might think the is a problem here. It should be are, you might think, but no. When you have which, you're talking about which one, right? Which one is, so it's singular. And more likely is okay because you're talking about two people, and therefore you use more. So the answer here is going to be E.